If you're an Amazon seller that wants to know how your inventory levels can affect your organic ranking, then you gotta keep watching this video because I'm about to be talking with Chelsea Cohen from SoStocked, and she's gonna be sharing some really great insights into how Amazon distributes your inventory around their fulfillment centers across the USA and how that is actually gonna affect your ranking on a local level per each state. So let's go ahead and jump into it, starting with me telling you who I am before I introduce you to Chelsea. So real quick, if you don't know me, you've never seen any of my videos, my name is Ian Smith and I run an Amazon marketing agency called Evolve Media Agency. At EMA, we help sellers boost up the conversion rate of their Amazon listing pages by doing top-tier product photo and video shoots. We're all about getting creative with our content here at EMA, so what we do is after we'll take some lifestyle images and some white background images, solid colored images, then we'll edit those up into infographic style images for the main carousel images, for the EBC A+ content, for the brand story section, and for storefronts. We also create videos that can be used on the listing in multiple places. They can be used in the search results as sponsored video ads, and they can be used on the storefront in multiple places on different pages like that, as well as off Amazon in TikTok ads, YouTube videos, Facebook and Instagram ads, and on landing pages for off Amazon marketing funnels. So if you're wanting to boost up the conversion rates of your Amazon listing product pages, or you're wanting to optimize things and get ranking higher organically, or you're wanting to overall scale your Amazon business and sell more products, then please do book a free consulting call with me by going to emaamz.com. Lastly, if you do have some stale inventory that's collecting dust and you need moved, also book a call with me because I'd love to talk through some strategies with you on how to liquidate some inventory that you need to get out of Amazon fulfillment centers. All right, so now let's jump into the video and let me introduce you to Chelsea. What's up, Chelsea? Thanks for jumping on this video with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. So tell the viewers who you are and what company you're with.
Sure. My name is Chelsea. I've been selling on Amazon since 2014. I am the co-founder of SoStocked. Probably mentioned my last name. My name is Chelsea Cohen, co-founder of SoStocked and also CEO.
Okay. And what does SoStocked do?
SoStocked is an inventory management software designed for e-com sellers to stay in stock and improve profitability through inventory and logistics strategies.
Okay. So you definitely know a thing or two when it comes to inventory and maybe FBA, Amazon fulfillment, things like that.
Yep. And
Okay, cool.
Talking about it for about 4 years now.
Wow. Super fun, interesting topic to talk about. It's a pain point sometimes because back in, I think it was like 2020, 2021, Amazon was limiting the amount of inventory you could send in. And what was your experience through that time?
In 2019, we started talking about inventory that, one, it was a boring subject that no one really wanted to talk about until they had to in 2020, but that there was not a lot of education around inventory, how inventory affected things when everything got more complicated because we had restock limits. A lot of people didn't know how to control that. So that's what we found, is that there was a lot of education that was needed and there was a lot changing, and we started to pool resources, and a lot of people identified me as someone who was really talking about that. So I got a lot of information funneled through me that I could push out.
Nice. So yeah, let's jump right into what we wanted to talk about today, which is how your Amazon inventory levels affect your organic ranking, and specifically around geo ranking, your inventory levels in each of the different states, because mostly in this video, we're going to be talking about the US marketplace. Mm-hmm. So what are your golden nuggets that you can share around organic ranking with your inventory levels? How do those play together?
Yeah. So first and foremost, we know that Amazon cares most about customers, and so everything is focused around the actual buyers, and then unfortunately sellers tend to come behind that. One of the things that Amazon, of course, is known for is Prime 2-day delivery, and then even the 1-day delivery, and that's their promise. They haven't always, especially recently, been hitting that promise, but they do try to do that. And so it's important as a seller to have enough inventory at Amazon that they can properly disperse it throughout the country. Mm-hmm. If you don't have that, then what starts happening is you start thinning out in certain areas. Maybe they can't supply inventory to the Midwest, for example. Mm-hmm. Once you have a reduction in inventory where Amazon feels that they can't deliver on that Prime delivery promise, they're going to be discouraged from promoting your products over your competitors.
Naturally, yeah.
So that's basically the reasoning behind what we call geo ranking. And geo ranking is the fact that you rank differently on specific pages in different areas. When you're looking at, say, California, you might be ranked well in California because there's a higher concentration generally of inventory in California, in New York, in Florida, in Texas, some of these larger states in terms of sales. But in these other areas, you may be ranking significantly lower on the page than in these other areas simply because the inventory is not available and Amazon they actually don't want to sell your product in that area at that time.
They are all about the customer experience. And like you mentioned, the shipping times, huge customer experience. So if your inventory is in California, Texas, and Florida, and somebody in Colorado or Montana orders it, Amazon probably knows, oh man, that's going to be like a 5-day ship time. So they're de-incentivized to want to have that product rank high in the organic search results because of that ship time. So how can sellers combat this challenge?
Absolutely. So it's important to always keep stocked. And when we say keep stocked, we use the term buffer stock or safety stock. And that is having this extra stock, kind of like when you're driving a car and you have the empty light come on. You don't immediately run out of gas and you're stuck by the side of the road. You have a little bit of extra gas to get you to the gas station. That's the concept of buffer stock. And it's even more important because the buffer stock acts as that cushion that can be dispersed throughout the country enough so that you have enough inventory that you don't have these geo-ranking and slower sales. So a good rule of thumb would be we'd say 30 days. Now we're saying kind of 45 days is a better rule of thumb for avoiding geo-ranking problems.
Now, is the secret to just pretty much all your inventory, just send it into FBA centers, fulfillment centers? Because I've seen some sellers will have their own, warehouse full of their inventory and they're not sending everything in. And maybe sometimes they're doing a hybrid of FBM, fulfilled by merchant as well as FBA. So what are your thoughts on, do you send all your inventory in or do you keep some on the sidelines in your own warehouse?
Yeah, I always am a proponent for keeping excess inventory because kind of the golden rule of inventory is don't let anyone have all your stuff because that's putting all your eggs in one basket. Majority of time when I ask people why they stocked out, a lot of times they say because everything got stuck on the boat. I put everything in a container, got stuck on the boat. I gave everything to Amazon, sent it in, they didn't check it in. Various different reasons why, or you got, even you've got everything stuck at a 3PL and your 3PL is backed up. So you've got to have all of these different points.
Diversity.
Exactly. And I say, even if Amazon's your only sales channel, it shouldn't be your only just distribution channel. So you should have an FBM backup to be able to account for those times when maybe your inventory runs out at Amazon inadvertently.
Now, as far as Amazon's limitations with how much you can send in, is that still happening today? Are they limiting how much you can send in?
Not so much. Amazon actually, because of 2020, 2021, has over invested in warehouse. So I don't see that coming back so much. It is something that people with a low inventory performance index score will see limitations, and people with oversized products tend to see limitations as well. But for the general seller, there's not a lot of that going on anymore.
Okay, I got you. And what would you say regarding storage limits versus storage volume limits?
Yeah, so storage limits is a limit on the number of units that you have available to send in. Storage volume limits is a limit on the amount of space. And those at times cannot match, especially if you have oversized product.
Okay, can you explain that a little bit more? What do you mean like they can't match? Like I don't think it would be an issue if it was like AirPods, right? Like super tiny, takes up a tiny amount of space. But let's say if it's like a desk, you can probably only have, I don't know, a pallet size of desks, let's just say 20, 30 or something like that.
Right.
Can you just explain a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Yeah. So you might have, a limit of, say, I can send 10,000 units in. But generally we see storage volume problems with the oversized products where even if you could send 10,000 units or even, 500 units, when you actually look at how much you can send volume wise, maybe it's only 100 units or 300 units that you can send. You have the amount of inventory in units, but not in space. And that's where the disconnect happens.
Okay. So that's where those kind of sellers are seeing limitations and restrictions is just because their product is large, it's oversized, and it takes up a lot of just ground space.
Yeah, exactly. And I had a guy who contacted me and he was trying to figure out why he wasn't able to get his inventory in. When I did the calculations, I said, you have about as much space as a refrigerator. And that was what he was allocated. And so it starts to make sense when you put it in perspective of what is your cubic foot space allowed in terms of your storage volume limits, which you can find in your inventory dashboard. If you go to your IPI limits, scroll down to the bottom. It's basically in the same location that your restock limits were when people were obsessed with checking that.
So when you say the size of a refrigerator, you mean like total amount of inventory that you can send into Amazon for them to then disperse out across all their warehouses.
Yep.
That's one fridge?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was just this one guy, this one example, but that's how you start looking at it is if I took all my products and I stacked them all together, it can only fit the size of a refrigerator.
Which is basically a pallet, right? It's like one pallet.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
so it definitely makes sense to have your own warehouse then to be able to have more pallets that you can, So a buddy of mine actually has a location down in Texas, and he just bought this big old warehouse, and he's got all these different racks and stuff. And, when I was seeing him build this out, I was like, why is he doing that? But now it makes total sense because he doesn't have the storage capabilities. And then also Amazon is going to charge you some kind of storage fees, right? What do those storage fees look like?
Yeah, so storage fees are based on the size of your product and how much space you're taking up. They, of course, every year storage fees increase. The place that you have to be concerned with that is that they significantly increase during the holidays. So you're paying a nominal fee outside of the holidays, and then the storage fees are going to go to, for a standard product, $240 per cubic foot, which is a significant amount, especially if you have larger products. So that's another reason you might want to consider storing some of your inventory outside of Amazon during that time.
When you say $240 per cubic foot, is that $2.40?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And is that a monthly rate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So every month. So it starts in October. So October, November, December, you're going to be charged that amount.
Okay. Gotcha. And as far as, Q4 and the fees, are those the only fees that you see going up, or do you think Amazon's going to raise their other fees?
So their other fees are going to stay the same, except for there's one exception. We could get into a whole other conversation about the fees that they've added and changed since beginning of 2020 or 2022. But a fee that was recently announced is called the Holiday Peak Fulfillment Fee. And on average, you can probably expect to pay an additional 35 cents per unit during that holiday season. It's from October 15th to January 15th or January 14th. So within that holiday season, you're going to have to account for an additional average of 35 cents.
Man, that is Amazon's really, they've got so many other fees, and then mix in PPC advertising. It's like, man, they are really making a lot of money off of their sellers.
Yeah. So they're doing everything they can to squeeze as much as possible because they've been spending so much in terms of their warehousing, their logistics. They reported their first down quarter since 2015 in Q1. And so one of the final things that I'll say in terms of inventory dispersal that people should start taking notice of is, if you're starting to see some of your products, they're supposed to be prime, but when you actually put them in the checkout cart, you're seeing, 4-day, 5-day delivery windows. The reason that is probably happening is that Amazon has started pulling back on dispersing slow-selling products. So if you have a slow-selling product, they may not be spreading it as far as possible. That's going to help them to save on those shipping costs, the logistics, because if they don't expect your product to sell, they don't want to actually send it off to those other warehouses. So that's
now, what would you estimate is a slow selling product? Is that like less than 5 units a day? That's not something that we haven't exactly studied or researched. So I can't really say exactly. We can dive into some of the sellers that are seeing this and kind of do a study on it, but we just haven't gotten there. But I would say, that would definitely qualify. I think, maybe 5 units, at least that I would say. Okay, 5 units a day, so that's about 150 units a month. So the goal, viewer, if you're, if you're in the slower time, try to get your sales volume, up to at least 300 units, 1,000 units a month. I mean, obviously everybody wants to be as high as possible, but for other reasons as well as profit reasons, try to get it up there. But anyway, Chelsea, thank you so much for jumping on this video and sharing some insights and golden nuggets around inventory. Anything before we wrap up that you want to add in?
I would just say, because of all the fees coming into the fourth quarter, starting to look at those slow sellers, starting to look at the products that you may need to liquidate, and making those moves now. In September is the month to start really pushing on some sales to get some of that slow moving and stale inventory out. So whether that's doing PPC ads, coupons, dropping your price, you don't want to start paying $2.40 plus 35 cents on those units that you may not even be, making too much money on. So really having a strategy towards pushing old inventory out in September, I think is vital.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Again, thank you guys for watching this video, and we'll catch you in the next one.